When you were in grade school, did your science teacher show your class the NASA videos of the space shuttles and spacecraft that were launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, up into space? Did you pay attention to those videos? Let's discuss those videos and look back, but this time let's look through a different set of lenses. Let's get to work.
Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died.
Back in science class, we watched those videos all the time, guaranteed to see them every year. Because every year in science, we always covered space. Therefore, we always talked about the spacecraft, space shuttles, rocket launches, and everyone was always excited to do the countdown. But what were we looking at as children when we saw those rockets and spacecraft that were ready to be launched? Oftentimes we saw whatever the craft was, whether it be a spacecraft with astronauts in it, and then we saw the other components that allowed those small crafts to make it into space. I believe they were referred to as SRBs, solid rocket boosters. You had the main rocket in the middle, and then you had two boosters on each side. The two rockets of the space shuttles contain oxygen and hydrogen. Those two twin boosters provided 75% of the thrust at launch. Their sole purpose was to get the space shuttle up into space through the atmosphere. And as the space shuttle reached the outer parts of our atmosphere up into space, those two boosters basically burned out and they detached from the space shuttle. You may be asking, why are we discussing rockets, space shuttles, science? That is a good question, and it deserves a good answer. Life is like a rocket, like a space shuttle. Your life is just like that. Just like that space shuttle, you have a destination in life. And as you get closer and closer to your destination, just like that rocket, you will shed, and it sounds ugly, but you will shed dead weight. This segues right into the conversation about maturity. When you were a baby, you did what babies do. They crawl. They put things in their mouth because they learn the world through their sense of taste. All they know at that point is eating. Whether it's breastfeeding, a bottle, whatever, that's what they know of the world. They observe it, but the way they learn is through their mouth and through taste. And then a baby becomes a toddler. It begins to walk. And as that baby begins to walk and learns to walk, even that child knows that it does not want to crawl anymore. Without even thinking about it, that child understands that walking is the best way to get around. A child that is now learning the world and getting smarter by the minute. No longer does that child try to learn the world through its mouth. The child is becoming smarter, wiser. And so when you are a year old and you're crawling, and you're a year and a half, 2 years old, and you're now walking, you are not the same person that you were at a year old when you were crawling, and you're not supposed to be. At the age of 3 and 4, you're not the same person that you were at 2, and you're not supposed to be. And I can keep going. When you're 5, starting school for the first time as a kindergartner, you are not the same child, the same person you were at the age of 4, and you're not supposed to be. When you're 7 years old, you're not the same person you were at 5. When you're 10, you're not the same person you were at 7. Again, we can keep going on and on because when you're 12 and 13, you're not the same person at 10. When you're 15, you're not the same person at 13. When you're 18, a senior in high school, you are not the same person you were as a freshman in high school at the age of 14 or 15 as a sophomore. And when you are 20, you're not the same person at 18. You're not supposed to be. 25, you're not the same person you were at 20. And you're not supposed to be. We can keep going on and on and on. And so as you go through life, if you are not maturing, if you're not changing, and you are not updating the best version of yourself, from year to year, then something is wrong. Because just like that rocket that sheds those rocket boosters as it gets up in space, you are supposed to shed people that you grew up with, because some people are not going to mature like you are. They're going to choose to stay in a certain age group mentally. So in other words, as ugly as this sounds, as you get older and as you mature, unfortunately, you're going to outgrow some of your friends. So if you are 20, 25, 30, and some of your friends are still acting like they were in high school, behaving the way they were, conducting themselves the way they were in high school, then yeah, you're going to outgrow some of them. Some of the jokes and things you laughed at when you were in high school and middle school and junior high is not going to be funny anymore, because you look at the world through a different set of lenses. You are now a more mature person. But that does not mean disown your friends. Just understand you can't get into the stuff that they're into. Some of them want to be in illegal activities, and you may have a family. Whether you have a family or not, you're just not into what they're into. You have outgrown those friends. They cannot be in your everyday circle. You need to be updating your circle every 2 to 3 years, possibly every year. But you cannot go through life and not outgrow some of your friends. You will outgrow some of them. And if you go through life, your whole life, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, if you have gone through life and you have not outgrown any of your friends, then guess what? You are the friend that everybody else is outgrowing. So if you find yourself saying, man, my friends suck because they left you behind, guess what? You are the person, you are the friend that everyone else has outgrown. It is time to grow up and take your proper role in our society, in our community, and in our village. Sure, I get it. We all have good time friends. And yes, they are a blast and they're absolutely fun to be around. But then life happens. You get married, you start having kids, or you start having to take care of elderly people in your family, like your parents and grandparents who raised you. Or those good time friends can't stay out of trouble or start getting into illegal shit, drugs and whatnot. And at that point, you have way too much to lose. You cannot go to prison for your buddies, for your friends, just because they're fun to be around. At some point, you have to distance yourself from them because of the activities they're into, or just because you're just too busy taking care of those who you're supposed to be taking care of. Life happens. And make no mistake about it, misery loves company. They want you in their misery with them. Do not allow it. Get about your business and take care of those who you love. Not saying you don't love them, but take care of your loved ones, your spouse, your children, your grandparents, the elderly people in your family. Take care of those who love you, those who you're supposed to be taking care of. That is the part of growing up that we all run into, and we're all supposed to be doing that. As you reach a certain age, there are some activities that you are not supposed to be in anymore. And for those who choose to stay in them, you have to distance yourself from them. You have to be the rocket, that shuttle that keeps on going. And you're going to have to shed dead weight. And I hate to call them that, but if they're not adding value to your life and they're not adding value to their own life, they are dead weight. And they are only going to pull those around them down, which in many cases is their aim. They want to see you lose everything you have so you can wallow in misery with them. Or they can just sit there and make fun of you. I've seen that too. When people get you on drugs, they get cleaned up, or they're just the ones selling it. They get you hooked, and then they're out making fun of you and making money off of you. That's why you stay focused, stay on course, and do what you're supposed to be doing. Or on a professional level, you begin to realize or reap the benefits of your labor. When you've spent years invested in yourself when others chose not to invest in themselves, or when others have not invested in themselves or in you. Not only did they not invest in themselves, but they decided to keep running them streets. That's a choice that they made. So when they can't go into the rooms that you go into, when they can't go where you go, and you cannot take everybody where you're going, you've earned the right. You've put in the time and the work. Just like the craft on the space shuttle, everyone is not meant to go where you're going, and they don't deserve to go. And that's okay. Don't feel guilty about it, and don't allow anyone else to make you feel guilty about it. Don't let them gaslight you. You've put in that time. You've put in the work. You've invested in yourself. But in the end, don't be that one person who, year after year, always find yourself hanging with a younger and younger crowd. That means that the people your age have left you behind. As they mature and you chose not to, you're going to be the one left behind. You're going to be the one who's the oldest person in your group, always. And your group is getting younger and younger, because even the younger people, when they mature, they're going to leave you behind. Don't be that person. Be that craft that's on the shuttle. Don't be the solid rocket boosters, the dead weight that get left behind, full of hot air and no other function. As you get older, get wiser. As my mentor will always say, always make yourself needed. By that, he means learn everything you can. The more you learn, the more you're going to be needed. To whom much is given, much is required. Until next time, understand your assignment, stay focused, and remain resilient. Ashe.
Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.